Eye in the sky at beautiful Belmont Park, and a little Larry Comas salute as we are off and running on this Friday edition of Belmont Insider. Gorgeous day, in fact, plenty of sun, blue sky, fast and firm, and Pick 6 Central here on MSG Plus. Richard Migliore, Jason Blewitt alongside. The fall meet, a week old today. A lot of money up for grabs in that Friday Pick 6.
Yeah, a lot of money up for grabs in the Pick 6. And once again, Mother Nature cooperating. It's an absolutely picture-perfect fall day. We just got a little breeze kicking in now, so we're not melting under these lights. Got a lot of great action to bring you.
And Belmont Park bathed in that early evening soft light, mid-September, and a lot of action, a lot of ground to cover on tonight's show. Beginning with the trip out to the West Coast, and we were all waiting, and I think I was attached to Twitter this morning at around 9:30 Eastern Time, wondering just how good did Behold a Breeze with Hall of Famer Gary Stevens, and apparently, just like usual, she knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, Richard Mandela, one of those old-school type trainers, still works horses longer distances. She went 3/4 in a sharp 12-4. I'm sure she did it with the utmost ease. Gary Stevens, he's not going to let her go real fast unless they're getting paid for it, and you know there's no doubt about her talent. I'm going to be curious to see if she actually shows up in the Classic, or will they opt late for the distaff? Because it is a pretty deep Classic this year.
You don't know where she's going ultimately to close out her 5-year-old campaign. You do know she's got the Zenyatta in 7 days or 8 days on the radar. She'll look to win that race a third consecutive time. She's like a fine wine, and she's just as good as ever.
And the fact that they're even talking about bringing her back next year as a 6-year-old is pretty remarkable. But you know what? That's what this game needs. Horses to come back, return, much like Forgo used to do many years ago. And it's unusual because it's a mare. You know that she's worth money in the breeding shed, but her owner, B. Wayne Hughes, is 82 years old. He's enjoying her. And you know what? That means the fans get to enjoy her.
And I have a feeling ultimately that will all lead to a Hall of Fame plaque at Saratoga Springs sometime in the near future for Beholder. As 3-year-olds throw it down, and look, Saturday is a day that Parx gets their one card and one Saturday to shine, and they've got the 3 major graded stakes up first. The Naira.com King's Bishop runner-up Limousine Liberal put in a good effort with the 104 buyer, second best behind Run Happy.
Yeah, Run Happy was just much the best, but a very fast King's Bishop. He gets a career-high 104 buyer. He had 78 first time, 89 second time, 104 third time. Does he go forward again? Is that possible? Not that he needs to win this race, but it'll be interesting, too, to see how the Parx track is playing. Pay attention early to that card because that is a track that can be extremely biased one way or the other.
And that'll kick off their big pick 3, capped, of course, by the Pennsylvania Derby. The middle leg, however, the only grade 1 down there on Saturday, the $1 million grade 1 cotillion for 3-year-old fillies. 11 were entered, but make no mistake, I think this is a cotillion at least starting off. Everybody's wondering how the Alabama rematch will turn out between Embellish the Lace and I'm a Chatterbox.
Well, it should be pretty interesting. I thought Embellish the Lace, even though it was 1.25 miles there, got everything her own way. And I really thought that I'm a Chatterbox did well to keep continuing grinding, trying to cut into that margin, I should say. And I'm a Chatterbox, she was on the lead, going 46 and change in the coaching club. She was off the pace, 48-1. What does Florent Giroux decide to do, Jason? Is he going to take it to Embellish the Lace earlier? Is he going to try to let someone else do the dirty work? I like her when she's in position. She seems more of a grinder to me. That's my opinion. We'll see what happens.
They lucked out with the draw, though, drawing outside.
Sure.
They get to take a look around and see what Embellish the Lace is doing. He should have some options there from post 8.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And there is some other speed in here. I don't know if they're... I mean, Take Charge Brandy's the obvious one, and you know that she's going to be there a long way. She's quality. Maybe you let them duke it out and sit the perfect trip.
And we'll let Larry Comas take over from here on this Friday edition of Belmont Insider. We send it up. Race 3, not a part of the double pick 6 carryover, but a standalone 3 and up maiden special weight on the main track at 1 mile.
They're off. Chomsky is out the best and goes for the early lead. Indian Trail on the inside came out running in second and is set up on the inside of Chomsky. And then it's Mongolian King, Chase the Love, and Captain Tim to the outside. Candor is second last up the backstretch, leading only Godrivi. And Godrivi is 8 lengths off the lead. The lead is shared by Chomsky and Indian Trail, and Chase the Love goes after them on the outside. 23 flat was the first quarter. Mongolian King and Captain Tim are close, and Godrivi and Candor have come closer too. They're only 5 lengths off the lead as they continue their run toward the half-mile pole. Chomsky running in between Indian Trail and Chase the Love. And these 3 head around the turn, 1, 2, 3. After a half mile, it goes in 46 2/5 seconds. It is now Chomsky by a head. Indian Trail on the inside. Now Captain Tim comes up to them. A length and a half clear of Gadrivi, who has rallied up into fourth on the outside. Then Mongolian King. Chase the Love has had enough. And then comes Candor on the inside. They're coming to the quarter pole. And Chomsky still holding on to this lead from Indian Trail, who's down on the inside. And Captain Tim is there on the outside. They're into the stretch. And here's Captain Tim on the outside of Chomsky. And Indian Trail tries to get into it on the inside. Indian Trail's coming up the rail. Captain Tim and Chomsky is back to third. It is Captain Tim, Indian Trail, Chomsky trying to fight on. Captain Tim, Indian Trail. Indian Trail's got it. Indian Trail has won it. From Captain Tim, Chomsky, and Gadrini.
Game effort down on the rail. Not an easy trip per se. In fact, a pretty taxing one from the get-go for the Florida Uncle Mo Indian Trail, who vied hard inside every step of the way.
He did, and he was extremely game. And you thought mid-stretch it was Captain Tim's day. I mean, he had everything going for him. He tipped out in the clear, chasing a horse, Indian Trail, who had been under that intense pressure. But Indian Trail kept finding, and Johnny Velasquez, how about the way he finishes on the horse?
Nobody looks better. Nobody is stronger. He's the guy. If I'm in a tooth-and-nail dogfight off the quarter pole, I want Johnny V. We've said it before. We'll say it again. The five-star general in this Belmont Park jockey colony. And how about the levity he brings to the room?
Well, you know, I think he garners so much respect that he's the guy that other guys defer to. They look to Johnny for leadership, and he takes that role seriously, and he leads by example. So as good as a rider as he is, he's even a better person.
And a busy day, in fact. Calls Angel had Johnny V on a bunch of live horses on day number 6, the fall meet, a week old. And let's get you back to the action. Race number 6, New York bred 2-year-olds battle on the turf in this maiden special weight.
They're off. Go Lucky goes out to the front. Stormin' Steven, 2. And on the inside, it's My Man Al sent along with early speed. Cause for Surprise is away running in 4th position. What a Wonderful World is 5th on the far outside. And then it's Gaming in Sherry's Miracle, followed by Domus, Borrowed Dreams, and A Chip and a Chair is last of them all. Racing for the far turn, My Man Al and Go Lucky, a half-length apart. And just to the outside of them, Stormin' Steven runs in 3rd after a 22 2/4. What a Wonderful World is 4th on the outside. Sherry's Miracle rides the rail 5 lengths off the lead, moving around the turn. Gaming is going by horses on the outside. And then comes Cause for Surprise and Borrowed Dreams, A Chip and a Chair, and last is Domus. And they're coming to the top of the stretch. My Man Al, Go Lucky, Stormin' Steven to the outside, and What a Wonderful World is in 4th. Right behind them, Sherry's Miracle is 5th. Into the final 16th, it is Go Lucky and Stormin' Steven. Stormin' Steven on the outside, Go Lucky battling on. These two down to the line together. Go Lucky fights on inside of Stormin' Steven. Their noses apart, and it's Go Lucky over Stormin' Steven. What a Wonderful World in Sherry's Miracle.
Christophe Clement entered 2 aces, and that's the way race 6 played out. Go Lucky, the gamer of the 2 Clement runners, would not let his stablemate by at the wire, Stormin' Steven, who hung quite simply like a chandelier.
Well, do you think Christophe was yelling right here for a dead heat? Because then it counts as 2 wins.
Yep.
You get over 80% of the purse, and you don't have to answer to another owner why your other horse beat their horse. But certainly a good show they put on. And we went from Johnny Velasquez to Javier Castellano. Another strong finish from a rider that brings his A game every day.
Top riders getting it done. Javier, #1 in purse money won in the United States for 2015. #1 in victories as well. And a favorite next to Victor Espinoza to win another Eclipse Award, which would be his 3rd straight.
And I know you were of the opinion that basically Victor has it wrapped up on the strength of the Triple Crown. And I don't disagree. But after watching him on Dancing with the Stars, Javier moved up in my eyes.
Yeah, no question about that. We hope Victor Espinoza comes back for another week. Did they vote him off?
No, I think he'll be back for another week. But if I was him, I'd be praying to be voted off.
All right. Second half of the break, it is all about Friday's late double. Pair of turfers at Belmont.
The new Parx Fall Festival will double purses for each of its 32 live racing days. What an opportunity for Pennsylvania breds. In an open maiden special, PA breds will run for over $100,000. So be there at Parx in the fall.
Hello, I'm Brian Sanfratello. Last year, we paid $33 million to PA Breds in the form of breeder awards, owner bonuses, and restricted race purses. Our Equine Coalition Group is united in the pursuit of making sure that we receive every dollar we deserve. And that's why our Racehorse Development Fund has been constant in the past 4 years. Please go to our website at www.pabred.com or give me a call at 610-444-1050.
Back to Belmont Park, plenty of blue sky on a gorgeous, picture-perfect September afternoon. What a day at the Big House for thoroughbred racing, and that'll set us up for another big weekend at Belmont Park. 7 Saturdays remain before we get back over to the Big A, so we want you out here enjoying this top-class thoroughbred racing with us. 12:55 rings in the first race tomorrow, 2-year-olds, and a $40 buy-in in that low roller contest. You can sign up first floor of the grandstand, and at this time of the year, there's no place like Belmont on a Saturday.
Thinking about all the September afternoons when I was a kid coming out here for the Belmont Fall Championship meeting, and now we're in the throes of it, and I get to be here every day. Very lucky. $40, a lot of action in those low roller tournaments, isn't there?
Absolutely. You got to be involved in 5 races, $2 win play show bets. $30 is your live bankroll, $10 to the prize pool. You'll have a lot of fun. Again, first floor of the grandstand, and that'll set us up for a bit later in the program, the $300,000 guaranteed late pick 4. That will commence in race number 7. Favorites have split on tonight's show. Indian Trail, our first winning favorite since Glare Ice won Wednesday's 9th at Belmont Park. Let's see what happened regarding the lukewarm favorite at 5-2, Sandy Slew. He faces a good field, a deep field, and a big field in Friday's 8th.
And it is Sleeping Giant who comes out running well. Sandy Slew away second. Saratoga Dreamer is third. Summer Breezing on the inside is fourth. And then it's Crafty Dreamer in fifth up the backstretch. Captain Gogan is next. And then Barrel of Love, followed by Tripsky and Filmmaking, is the trailer. And now the field races for the turn, with Sleeping Giant leading Sandy Slew by a half a length through the opening quarter in 22 1/5 seconds. Saratoga Dreamer right behind them, running in third as they make their way around the far turn. Summer Breezing on the outside, fourth by 2.5. And then it's Crafty Dreamer in fifth, 5 lengths off the lead. Captain Gogan being motivated 8 lengths behind. And they're followed by Barrel of Love on the inside, and they're coming toward the top of the stretch. Sleeping Giant and Sandy Slew turning for home together. And to the outside of them, Summer Breezing looking to close the gap with Saratoga Dreamer. On the inside, Barrel of Love is making progress down toward the rail. Captain Gogan is getting going late on the far outside. It is Sandy Slew in front, close to home. Captain Gogan moving on the outside. Summer Breezing, but it's Captain Gogan, and Johnny V wins another. Sandy Slew was second, and then it was Summer Breezing and Saratoga Dreamer.
And it's the hot hand of Johnny V. 4 wins altogether. Larry Colmus noted it as Captain Gogan at 9-1 pulled off the upset crossing the wire.
And you got to feel for Sandy Slew. This horse shows up and runs his heart out every single time. A credit to his trainer, Rick Schosberg, to keep him in this form. He was beating a nose last time after looking like he was going to win it. And again today, Captain Gogan, though, we talked to James Ryerson yesterday, and he gave a lot of credit to the Generazio family. And little surprise, a gray from the Generazios sprinting on the turf, getting the money.
By Disco Rico. 90% of their horses graze? Could it be over 90%?
I think it's over 90%. But you know what? One thing for sure, whether they're gray, bay, or chestnut, they run.
They're all good, and we like the Generazios. A big supporter year-round of thoroughbred racing in the Big Apple. Had a wildly successful Saratoga, with all homebreds winning 8 races, and were third in the Saratoga owner standings. Moving on to race number 9, Johnny V, the hot hand once again. He'll look for a 5-bagger on this Friday afternoon. He is riding a firster for Todd Pletcher, the number 10 Queen's Tiara, as we send it upstairs to Larry Colmus for the last.
They're off. And a rough beginning there for Light Rain. It is Sophia's Choice on the inside out for the lead. You Do That as away in second, and then comes Head Shrinker in third. Shane V. De Lavone is fourth on the inside. On the far outside, Night Night Kitty is going up and going past horses quickly all the way up to challenge for the lead. And then it's Cotton Candy Cutie as they continue up the backstretch. Love You Babe is there on the outside. In behind them is Miss Q's Saratoga Gal, followed by Queen's Tiara. It's 4 lengths more back to Lady Lucky and Light Rain, and the quarter was in 24 and 4/5 seconds. Up the backstretch, You Do That. On top, Shane V. De Lavone is running in second up the backstretch. Night Night Kitty is third to the outside. Sophia's Choice is fourth along the rail. And then it's Head Shrinker, Cotton Candy Cutie to the inside, and Love You Babe, who's 5.5 lengths off the lead, racing for the turn. Then a break of another 2.5 more to Queen's Tiara to the outside of Saratoga Gal. Miss Q is about 10 lengths off the lead right now, and right behind Miss Q is Lady Lucky and Light Rain. 49 and 2 for a half around the far turn. It is You Do That. Shane V. De Lavone second. Night Night Kitty third to the outside. On the rails, Sophia's Choice saving ground and right in behind the leaders. Miss Q now getting going. Miss Q is moving on the outside and moving well, and also putting in a run is Cotton Candy Cutie, but it's Miss Q and Cotton Candy Cutie. These two 1-2 on the far outside. Late run coming from Lady Lucky from far behind too. Miss Q, Cotton Candy Cutie, Lady Lucky on the far outside. Miss Q's got it close to home. Miss Q and Arad Ortiz Jr. will do it from Cotton Candy Cutie. Then a photo between Love You Babe and Lady Lucky.
Third winning favorite on the day, and we've really had the upper echelon of the Belmont Jockey Colony on tonight's show. 2 for Johnny V, 1 for Javier, and here's Irad Ortiz aboard Miss Q for Mike Maker.
Yeah, I mean, there's the leaderboard, basically, right? I mean, and you can go pretty deep in this colony and be pretty happy with the guys you come up with. Mike Maker at Cathianis Philly gets the money under a well-judged ride. It seemed like the pace was moderate, and when you're up close to a moderate pace, you got to start marching. Don't allow those back runners to get momentum on you. This filly got a well-timed ride from Irad.
And had plenty of momentum. Rolled home through the stretch, and she actually was the last piece in what turned out to be a consolation payout in the pick 6. Nobody was alive going into the nightcap, and that means we have a triple carryover of nearly 215,000 waiting for you here tomorrow afternoon. Race number 5 will start the sequence, and you, mister, better study up.
Oh, no, we're in. We're all in tomorrow. Now we're talking about a huge carryover. A lot of people are going to bet into the
Saturday. Perfect forecast.
Saturday, no doubt about it. And, you know, we should have some inside information, no?
We don't have any.
None whatsoever.
We'll be dead after one leg, but we hope you take it down here tomorrow. Race 5 again, the opening leg of the pick 6. And speaking of 5, Friday's 5-pack, 1, 2, 4, 5, 7 with Larry Comas.
Flat. Jules and Rome is now in front and pulling away. The pace is done in spite of Mama and Lady Luciano as they come down to the last 16th. Jules and Rome has a 6-length lead, and now Literata is second. Jules and Rome coming under the line in front. Jose Ortiz and Jules and Rome win it. And then it was Literata in third as a photo between Family of Roses and In Spite of Mama. And now Sinatra's taking the lead. And on the outside, Compliance Officer. Here comes Heat Flash. Up and after them from the outside. And Upgrade is coming too. Into the final 16th, it is Sinatra in front. Compliance Officer on the outside, Upgrade. Heat Flash back into fourth. It is Sinatra. Sinatra by 2.5 lengths over Upgrade. Then Compliance Officer and Heat Flash. Alongside at the top of the stretch, Chico Grande is third and taking to the rail. Farther out, 100% is putting in a bid too. And here's 100% on the outside. To the front. 100% has taken the lead and is pulling away from Norm the Giant and Apache Warrior. 100% and Angel Arroyo clear under the wire to win it by 3. And then it was Norm the Giant, followed by Apache Warrior and Mr. Charles. Rain turning for home in front. Moon Metal to the outside, tries to cut into the gap. Rain is third. Magical Miss fourth. And then comes Aussie Prayer on the far outside, who's putting in a good bid now. And Moon Metal is taking the lead. Aussie Prayer is closing on the far outside. Then it's Under the Rain. Moon Metal on the outside, Aussie Prayer. Under the Rain, it is Moon Metal to win it. Tight second there between Aussie Prayer and Under the Rain, and then No Tunes fourth. And it's Horter on the outside. And Roman Revival. Horter and Roman Revival into the final furlong. Here comes African Fighter, though. He was dead last, and he is now first. Oh, what a rush from African Fighter and John Velasquez. They've hit the front, and they are pulling away as Union River and Send It In move up into second and third. African Fighter. And then it's either Union River or Send It In.
2 today for Todd Fletcher. Byron Hughes, the assistant. I guess Todd over at in Keeneland, that is, in Kentucky. Of course, sales still going strong.
Yeah, a lot of guys down there, and boy, a lot of horses going for big numbers, even in Book 2. It's a pretty strong sale.
Yeah, good to see. Some of the freshman stallions doing pretty well, like the Factor. I know he's turned some heads. Son of a Warfront, trained by Bob Baffert during his career. As we get back to John Velasquez in Friday's second look with Cappy Sinatra. Old Blue Eyes got Johnny V started today, and this was the right kind of ride in the right spot with Johnny.
Well, that's why I wanted to show it. I mean, I know it's a $25,000 claimer, but he let Sinatra leave to get position going forward, allow a long shot to take over, but was in position and lane second. Was very, very confident when compliance officer loomed up outside, and he draws away under a hand right. He did everything absolutely 100% correct. And Sinatra, well, he did it his way and got the money.
I like that. Gary Barber, his Hot Pink Silks, and he has got horses Canada, Southern California, up and down the East Coast. President and CEO of MGM. We're glad he's a big horse racing fan, as Joel Rosario is now tied with both Ortiz boys, 7 apiece at the top of the Belmont Rider standings. What happened today in the trainer standings and who is going where? It's still Gary Gullo with 4, 1 in front of Tom Albatrani, Chad Brown, and Todd Fletcher. Very impressive list. Claims. Got a few claims, in fact. Race 2, Race 4, Race 5. Multiple horses were changing hands.
Well, where's Danny? Claimed by David Jacobson. Well, I'll tell you where Danny is. He's in David Jacobson's barn having supper tonight. But a lot of claiming action going on because the purses just warrant to keep reloading.
And race number 5, in fact, had a couple claims out of the 5th, midway through the program. Two-way shake on Upgrade, reclaimed by Michael Dove and Rudy Rodriguez. In fact, thought we had a couple claims out of race 5. Maybe we'll give them to you after the final time out on the show. Stay tuned. This is the Friday edition of Belmont Insider. As promised, we don't pull any punches on the show, and there you go. We had a couple claims out of race number 5. Apache Warrior, who sped off and ran off from the rider in the 4th, claimed by Jeremiah Engelhardt, and the old 8-year-old Tripsky, claimed off Eddie Keneally by David Jacobson. A 7-way shake in the meantime for the winning Moon Medal out of race number 5. It's the MIG, it's JB. We're charging down the stretch on this edition of Belmont Insider. Let's preview race number 8, the Saturday feature, the Noble Damsel. And here's Brian Lynch. Lost Moon Medal via the claim box, but he's got a good one here in Coffee Click.
I like the trip for Coffee Click, too. A mile gets an inside post. Miss Frost is your most likely pace setter, but Manny Franco leaves for position. He should work out a good trip and gets a little class relief, from the Just the Game when she ran going a mile, beaten 2 3/4 lengths in a much tougher field.
Wonder how many horses over the last 15 years Christophe Coman has started in the Noble Damsel. It's got to be a high amount, and he's in the mix tomorrow with Marbury Rose.
Yeah, Marbury Rose in really good form. Shown here beating a nose in the Perfect Sting before journeying up to Canada, winning by a nose on synthetic. I think the mile's her trip as well. She's going to be a little further back than Coffee Click. She's going to need to work out a trip.
Recepta, 4-year-old filly by Spikestown. They do it all, and she was able to go long in the Della Rose, getting that win by 2 and change beneath Johnny V for Jimmy Toner. So pretty nice race mare.
Really nice race mare. I like her. I think she's a filly that's been improving, and I think she can have a big say in the outcome of this race. I loved her last race. She worked out a great trip. She loses Johnny Velasquez, but Elvis Trujillo, he's been bringing in some bombs here and there, and I think Recepta is very live for a very good horseman.
And Elvis rode the turf well upstate at Saratoga with a couple big price winners. As we get to the Irish bred Lady Lara for Bill Mott, she won the Pebbles here last Columbus Day, and she's been on a steady diet of Grade 2 and Grade 1 stakes.
Yeah, and I think she's well posted. She gets into the race the right way, and it looked like when she got here last year, well, this could be the start of something big, and she's kind of toiled a bit, and she's worked hard at it, but I think she's a filly that you can never count out, especially with Junior Alvarado in her corner and Bill Mott in her corner.
Perfect weather Saturday in the Big Apple in September at Belmont Park. Turf is where it's at. You've got the featured 8th race, the Noble Damsel. A race later, race number 9, and it's a standalone 2 other than allowance optional claimer. Global Strike leads the discussion, and his races at Saratoga, save the 13 furlong John's Call, were all pretty good.
Yeah, didn't quite get that mile and 5 furlongs. His mile and 3/8 race was very good. Unfortunately, he was disqualified going by a beaten horse that time, but he did take a path, and that horse was narrowly beaten for second. Hence the disqualification. Global Strike certainly will stay the mile and a quarter.
Let's move on to the Australian-bred Unguio, who ran off beneath Florent Giroux early on in the Turf Classic about an hour before American Pharoah won the Kentucky Derby.
Well, he was beaten 5 3/4 lengths in a Grade 1, albeit maybe not the toughest Grade 1 in the history of Grade 1s, but I like this horse. He's been here with Christophe. He's had an opportunity to acclimate now, and he certainly gets class relief, and the mile and a quarter should suit him well.
And 10 furlongs, maybe that's a key distance for a couple of the key Euros who will be starting in America for the first time. Up first, the Joe Allen homebred, Jay Gatsby, will break down his pedigree. Great colt by Giants Causeway, and there is some serious equine talent in the family.
Boy, you talk about just one graded stake winner after another. The mare was a multiple graded winner, and I like this. Joe Allen giving a horse to Jimmy Jerkins, and this is a horse that's never really done anything wrong, never been off the board in 5 starts, and it should be interesting to see how he adjusts to American racing.
Like seeing a half the Warfront make a stateside debut for Jimmy J from that inside post. And let's move on to the British-bred Planetaire, colt by Galileo, who's got a whole bunch of group winners, in the family, including the upset winner of the Woodbine Mile last Sunday.
Yeah, most recently, the full brother, Mondialiste, wins the Woodbine Mile. This is a horse that certainly got a pedigree, gets the right trainer, Graham Motion, and we've seen this move a lot. The Wertheimer family bringing horses here and excelling with them. So, I just think they have a good handle on the horses that are going to improve American-style racing and most likely with Lasix.
And a good handle with Andy Serling with Saturday's play.
Thanks a lot, guys. Saturday's card is just chock full of opportunities. There's big fields in one race after another. A lot of grass racing, some good dirt races as well. And I think the 4th race at 1 mile in the dirt is a very interesting race. No doubt a horse like Sharifa, coming off a big win 4 months ago, is a major player in here. And even the 8 Kirov could improve for Chad Brown, second time after winning at Saratoga in a contentious race. But I'm going to try to turn back the clock for the 8 Tahoe Tigress, a New York bred who at one time would have been the favorite in this race. Now, that time has passed. She's going to be 8-10-1 in here. But I think if you take a look at her 3 races coming off a layoff, you can make excuses. One was against much tougher and a slow-paced race in the Bed of Roses. One was a sloppy track at Indiana Downs. And one was going too far, 1 1/8 around 2 turns at Saratoga, and she's never run well there. What she has done is run well at 1 turn at Belmont Park. I think she gets the pace to run into, and if there's anything left in the tank for her Tahoe Tigress, maybe she can turn back the clock and get the money at around $20 in the 4th race.
Little after 3 p.m. as we say goodbye to Andy Serling. It's not time to say goodnight quite yet, but a little after 3 p.m. the Pick 6 will begin. Mig, 215,000 the Pick 6 carryover, and we were just talking about the first race at 12:55. Some nice pedigrees in there, including a $2.2 million firster by Tapit.
Well, I'll take a shot with the name Mohayman, but we'll see. But what better day? Come out to the races, have a great time, and potentially have a life-changing score.
All right, hit those past performances tonight. The same goes for all of you out there. Javier Castellano's got a big smile on his face, and why not? He's winning, and we'll go for the Pick 6 tomorrow here on Belmont Insider.